Kyle, Jonah. We are escaping the Eclipse.
Alrighty, question one. How did you get started with music and how did you develop your sound?
Okay. Personally, I at like the age of 14 fell in love with metalcore, Crown the Empire, of Mice and Men, a bunch of 2010 era stuff, and fell in love with it. Wanted to emulate it, and got involved with a couple of bands. They didn't work out. Now we're here.
Yeah, for me, I basically just started listening to the originals, you know, like Megadeth, Metallica, and all that. And then I got my first band when I was like 16, and the singer of that band introduced me to a lot more heavier metal, and I just kind of, ever since then, been delving more into that area, and I've been trying to emulate that and coming up with my own sound since then. Alrighty. How did the name Escaping the Eclipse come about, and is there any meaning to it?
I was the one that thought of the name. It was after the fall of one of my old bands. Don't want to drop names. So after that, I had received some negative feedback on some of the songs I was writing and didn't believe it. And so I decided to cornily escape the eclipse that was getting in my way. So I wanted to shine, I guess, and it's kind of a corny meaning, but that's the meaning behind it.
Alrighty. What do you want people to take away from your music?
I just want people to have fun. Honestly, when I write the riffs, and I like people to just bang their head. I want people to feel the energy, and I want people to just like lose their shit like anybody else would in a mosh pit. How about you?
With our music, I mean, I've never been one to like get super into how deep the lyrics are and stuff. I've always been the guy who's like, oh my god, is that a 6/8 beat, you know? Just stuff like that. More of the riffage behind it. So same with Kyle. I just enjoy watching people enjoy something I've made, you know. People are moshing to a sick breakdown I wrote, or, you know, we wrote. That's super dope. But it's also cool to see because Kyle's really good at his lyricism and stuff. So it's super cool to see like people come up and talk to him about, yeah, this song, you know, these lyrics really hit me and all stuff like that. So I like both sides of it.
That being said, I am a bit of an emo artist. The lyrics I do write are heartfelt. They come from within. A lot of this new release that we're coming out with, The Reaping, is very angry. I'm coming out of a toxic relationship, and it's all of just the pent-up anger coming out. And I feel like ultimately this new project is going to be very cathartic.
How would you describe your sound to the average listener?
Heavy as fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the average listener listens to like top 20 country, fucking, I don't know, EDM, house music, whatever. So like, to the average listener, we're gonna be just heavy, where, you know, breakdowns, you know, genty fucking shit with low vocals and, you know, screams. So all to the average listener, heavy as fuck. To anybody knowledgeable of metal, it's just straight up metalcore.
Yep. We try, I mean, it's metalcore at the end of the day, but we definitely try to involve that melodic aspect too. We don't want to be the bands that's just ones and zeros, the meme band, you know, nothing like that. We definitely try to make our riffs a little bit more melodic as well, I think, too.
Yeah, it's just kind of like mixing the old with the new.
Who are 3 bands you'd like to tour with?
Oh shit, I mean, realistically or just dream? I'll let you list off 3 bands first.
Alright. My dream bands to tour with, these are some of my favorite bands. All of these So my number one is probably gonna be Megadeth, just because it's like my all-time favorite band, my all-time favorite group is Megadeth. Like since I was a little kid, like 12, like I've always enjoyed their music. Obviously, our music isn't like exactly the same, but metal is metal. Now, something that's more in line would probably be like All That Remains. I love them. They're like my favorite old school metalcore band. And then Heart of a Coward as well. I think our music would blend so well if we were to open up for them or something. I think it would just the crowd that they would have would respond really well to our songs.
If I were to come up with something, I'd probably go with more of the newer bands. So like Wage War, I think we'd mix really well with. After that, I think of Mice and Men, them being one of my biggest inspirations in writing. Yeah, I feel like, especially like when it comes down to like how I write my riffs as well, was very inspired by them. So of Mice and Men, I feel like would just be an absolute party to tour with. My last one would, if they ever come back from hiatus, would be Adept. They're not really well known. It depends on who you ask. Either you know them and you love them, or nobody knows who they are. But their writing style also heavily inspired me getting into metal and all that stuff. So if we were to tour together, I feel like it would also be just crazy.
How has COVID affected what you do?
Well, given the fact that Escaping the Eclipse came out after COVID, honestly, like during COVID, I was just behind my laptop creating everything, which is how the Survival Trial came to fruition. So in 2020, I was jamming with my old band and writing some of these riffs. And it's kind of funny because a lot of the riffs that I wrote in that old band, I kind of cut up, redispersed, sprinkled onto every different song, and made the song, the core of those songs heavier. And that's how Survival Trial came out. So COVID really just lit a fire under my ass, really, and inspired me to, if you're not going to do anything, you might as well do something, kind of thing. Because, being trapped inside that was just, either do nothing or do something.
With COVID, I honestly wouldn't say my life changed much. I still worked like 50 hours a week. My job didn't change at all. I still did the same thing. I would say I probably didn't spend as much time going out and stuff, obviously. So I definitely spent more time working on playing guitar, or I just had more time, but it wasn't like a conscious thing for me. And obviously Escaping the Eclipse started after that, after the lockdown and everything. So I wouldn't say it's affected us too much as a band, but it's definitely probably affected how we play music or how far we came in music, considering we had more time to be able to do all that stuff.
Alright.
What's your take on the current state of metalcore?
I think it's alive and thriving. Honestly, I feel like more of the bands coming out, like, more of them are metalcore. Like, back in the day when I was listening to music, it was like Papa Roach, Disturbed, and I don't know who else, Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace. They were all heavy on the radio, and honestly, like, that 2000s alternative rock inspired me to become a metal artist early on. But ultimately, like, as you talk to people, more people know about like metalcore than they are into the old school bands, or old school bands. Papa Roach now being 20 years old. So I think like the current state, I think it's just crazy how many new metalcore bands are popping up, how many of those metalcore bands are starting to hit tours and make it big, and you find stacked lineups going across to the States and even abroad. So I mean, I think that should speak for itself.
I mean, yeah, same thing for me. I think metalcore is completely alive. I don't think it's ever even died down. If anything, it's just gotten stronger. Obviously, the sounds have changed. You know, the guitars have gotten more strings, and the backing tracks are heavier. But it's still very alive. It just sounds a little different than I think most people are used to. I think a lot of people, when they think of metalcore, they think of that old school As I Lay, you know, All That Remains, where it's like 6 string, it's heavy, and it's fast. But when people think of metalcore nowadays, they just call it something different. They don't think of straight up metalcore, but yeah, no, the new metalcore is still very alive.
And what's cool is like you're also finding some bands that have what are called revival metalcore bands, or like stuff that is bringing back the 2000s riffs or the 2010s riffs. I think that's really cool that some people miss the old sounds that they heard and are bringing them back. So I mean, like with the amount of recirculation of the different styles, I think that like it's just breeding different subgenres or different types of metalcore. It's kind of like what we try to do is blend the old and the new. We call it modern melodic metalcore, but ultimately it's just mixing some of the old shit with the new shit. So metalcore is pretty fucking great.
What's the current music scene like there in Nebraska?
I'll let you talk first on that one.
So I've been in Nebraska longer than Kyle has been, and I've been involved in the music scene for quite a bit of time since I was like 15. My dad was in a band for a long time. I used to go out to shows all the time, but the music scene's definitely alive here. The music scene takes a place on social media a lot. I know the fans are here, just getting them to the shows. You can see some shows will be packed with like 500 people, just a local show with like local bands. Like you can get a lot of people out, and I've been to local shows where there's like 20 people. You know, it just depends like who's playing or what kind of music you're playing, but metalcore seems to be predominantly the winner for the music scene in Nebraska, at least I would say, from what I've seen.
I also want to say that it's very supportive. Like I came out here about a year and a half ago, a little over, and I hit Bobby Wright of From This Day Forward up, and I was just like, yo, you don't really know me, I kind of know of you, this is the music I'm working on, I just need some people to work with, and he introduced me to Jonah, he introduced me to another guy that we're currently trying out, and he's been a huge help. He's introduced us to promoters already. He's helped us book our first couple of shows, and introduced us to other bands, and those bands have even featured on our project. So I mean, it's just been so welcoming. It's very a bit different than Chicago, where it's very competitive, but like out here it's just let's all jam together. So I really dig the music scene out here.
What's your take on the royalties that streaming services pay out to artists?
Not enough. I mean, that's same old song and dance, really. I think that maybe they could do more because they're banking on stuff, but I feel like the service that they provide as far as promotion goes is the algorithms that they base themselves off of could benefit the artist a bit more. So if you're not going to pay us more, maybe service us more in other ways. So as far as royalties goes out, as far as royalties go, I mean, it is what it is.
I haven't done a ton of research about it, but I appreciate that we can put our stuff up there and it can get listened to. I'm sure when I'm a millionaire and, have 20 million streams on Spotify, I'll feel differently about how much I'm getting paid by them, but
you got 20 million streams, you'll have about $20.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it makes no difference to me now. I don't make any money from it as it is. So, I mean, it sucks that there are people out there that do get, 20 million streams and they're making no money from that. So it's just like straight, they have to just tour all the time every year, and all their income comes from people buying their merch and stuff, and they can never go home, because if they go home then they'll be broke. I think that does suck, you know, because nobody wants to buy albums anymore, but that hasn't happened to me yet, so I don't have a straight up personal opinion on that, or, you know, any experience with that, so I don't know. What's next for Escaping the Eclipse?
Well, we are in the process of releasing our latest project. I call it a project because it's kind of an EP, kind of an album. It's 8 songs, a little less than 30 minutes. It's called The Reaping. It's got crazy tracks, definitely a different sound than what Survival Trial was, and I think that you'll hear the growth in it, which is the coolest part, honestly. I'm very proud of this project, and I feel like gaining traction with the shows that we're picking up, and with, you know, potentially getting new members, more than just the 2 of us. I feel like that's what's next for us, is just the grind, putting our nose to the grindstone, and really working our asses off to get our name out there.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I would say the same exact thing. Obviously, we have the same views on all this band stuff, more or less. But we're just getting done with our album. We're putting it out there, and I would like to really focus on getting members before you start recording new music and putting it out there and everything like that. Just trying to get everybody up to speed and get where we can play like shows with full band. That would be super nice. I think that's the next step for me.
Alright.
Any shout outs?
Yes, I got tons actually. First of all, shout out to my wife, who's been absolutely supportive of this dream that's just now starting to kind of come true. Shout out to Lizzie San. She's one of the first fans that I actually ever met online. She heard my music at the time and thought it was, you know, worth investing in, and she's helped out a lot, and she actually pushed me to start looking for new members, and pushed me to reach out to Bobby. Third shout out would be to Bobby, right, from this day forward, who's been nothing but an absolute homie. Last shout out from me would be to Micah Murphy of As Tides Rise. He's also been a homie, trying to help support the dream, and, you know, we kind of just try to return the favor.
Shout outs for me. I mean, shout out to Kyle for messaging me on Facebook. I mean, I don't have a ton of shout outs, at least off the top of my head. Shout out to Bobby, you know, he already said that. That's the only reason I didn't say that. Shout out to my dad for letting me jam at full volume in his basement. So that's super sick too. It's no easy feat with the 4x12 and the dual rectifier head. I know that. Shout out to my neighbors for being okay with that. But yeah, I don't have any shout outs really.
Yeah, and shout out to anybody who supports us and, you know, believes in our music. From the Depths Entertainment. They heard Survival Trial and gave us a chance to be in this situation. So, yeah, shout out to them. Thank you. With that, again, we are Escaping the Eclipse. We got The Reaping dropping sometime mid to late November. We got Psychosomatic coming out.
September 29th.
Yeah, September 29th, next Friday. And got another release coming out later after that. We're also playing a show October 21st, Fright Night in Omaha, Nebraska. So if you're in Omaha or surrounding areas, please hit us up, get some tickets, and make it out.